It is way too early for microphones. So this morning, the crew's going to show up and start digging out the foundation, laying the forms, and laying the rebar for the foundation of the Longshot Garage. Check this out.
7, right on the money.
Well, the sun is rising. The ASAP concrete guys were here at 5 a.m. getting ready. Since then, the pump trucks rolled up and we're awaiting the concrete truck. 2 days ago, we passed our inspection with flying colors. I'm not surprised. The work here is meticulous. And yesterday, we got the pre-treat done for termites. Here in Arizona, we have a big termite problem, and when you build a new structure, basically they fill it like a pool with poison for termites. Pretty soon we're gonna have a foundation to the Longshot Garage. You know, I've been really lucky. Things have fallen into place and gone well. I've been stressed out along the way because I didn't think they would, and yet I've been super lucky and they have. So fingers crossed that trend continues.
the only time I'm gonna look in the camera and say anything. Kids, don't try this at home. Parents, try this at home. When it's 110 degrees.
All right, Joe, we're live. How's it going?
It's good. It's a good day. Good day for you.
It is a good day for me. So what's the name of your business? It's ASAP Concrete, right? Tell me about that.
ASAP Concrete Construction, LLC.
And where are you out of?
Santan Valley, Arizona.
Oh, you're all the way from Santan?
Been in business, started the business in 2008, August 8th, 2008.
It's 2008. So how long have you been doing concrete besides the business?
I started in concrete in October of 1984. So that would make me old.
Tell me about the crew. You showed up Saturday. You had a couple of your guys with you.
I had one of the old guys with me on Saturday who I've known for 30 years, Mike Bagley, self-made multimillionaire, by the way, from doing concrete. Hardest working person I ever met in my life. We also had Roque Covarrubias, who's with us today in the yellow shirt and the straw hat. Hardest working person I ever met in my life too. Great guy and makes me look good every day.
I watched you guys and you didn't stop moving all day Saturday and all day today. You're just always doing something. So this job, not for me.
Concrete's a hard business, and you know, there's no breaks. You know, you either do it all the way or you do something else. So there's nothing easy about it. We also had Scott, the excavator, with us on Saturday, who I've known for about 15 years now, and he does all of our digging and does a great job. And we drag him around the state to do projects all over. Whenever we have a little project like this, we call him up and he comes and digs our footings and grades our floors, and we pay him and he goes away happy, and we go to work.
Yeah, he did an awesome job. He was like a surgeon with that little, I don't know, it wasn't a bobcat. What do you call that thing?
That's a mini excavator.
He was like a surgeon, and that bucket was an extension of his hand. So it went really well. You got in here in small spaces, and again, everything was so precise. I mean, I saw him dig and you guys working around him, and you dug the trench, and it was just so precise. It was like you sculpted the dirt. So like I said, you guys showed up on Saturday. So then tell me what happened. Tell me from the start. How does this work?
So after we show up at the job, first thing we do is we look at the plans. We lay out the footing in the correct dimensions and to the plans. Scott digs the footing to the correct width and depth. And as he's digging, we're putting the loose fill dirt that comes out of it inside to do the subfloor grading. And as he's doing that, Roque's grading and raking and making sure that we're right on grade to end up with a consistent 4-inch thick base. Once Scott's done digging and grading, we have him take his machine and track roll the area. It gives it compaction. It's about a 3,500 pound machine, so it certainly does better than my little plate tamp, which only weighs about 350 pounds. And then once Scott's gone, Mike and Roque and myself get to work on the forms and the rebar, which took us about 5 hours or so after Scott was gone. Got all the forms set, all the rebar in, everything ready for an inspection, which, you know, we called in for Monday. And once the inspection passed, we're free to pour concrete, and that's why we're here today.
I wasn't at all surprised that we passed inspection with flying colors. We got our green tag. So then the next day we had a pre-treat for the termites, which we have to do here in Arizona. The reason I knew that we were going to pass is because, look, I don't know what I'm looking at, but it was so precise. Everything was tied together. Everything was tied off. So tell me a little bit about the rebar. It seems like the metal's not supposed to touch the dirt. Tell me about that stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of codes and requirements about the rebar. Your footing and garage project here happened to call for number 5 rebar, which is a little bit more structurally sound than typical number 4 or 1/2-inch rebar. It's actually 5/8 inch diameter. It called for 3 rebars horizontally in the footing, which is a little unusual. But you know, whatever it takes, whatever the plan calls for, that's what we do. So there are also codes to when we're installing the rebar. When one rebar overlaps another rebar, there has to be a minimum of 25 inches for number 5 rebar, which we make sure we have, because if we don't, it won't pass inspection. The other critical thing about the rebar in Arizona is with the vertical rebar pounded into the ground, we have to tape the dowel, the vertical dowel, with duct tape, so the vertical dowel and the horizontal dowel don't touch metal to metal to have a moisture transfer, which can create rust in the rebar. Now that might not happen till 100 years down the road, and we may never see it, but that's just the rule. So other than that, the rebar has to always be a minimum of 3 inches away from any barrier, whether it's dirt or concrete. And that's pretty much about it. We did have some drilled in dowels into the existing foundation, which we're just calling out for number 4 bars, which is pretty standard. We did not have to epoxy those or have a special inspection, which is sometimes necessary in more structural applications than maybe what we have here. So that was a good thing to not have to mess with that. All the rebar went in correctly, and that's why we passed inspection.
Yeah, it was a work of art. It was a shame to cover it up with concrete. That was Saturday. So now it's Wednesday, after we had termite pre-treat and after we had the green tag, of course. So here you are on Wednesday. You guys rolled in at 5 a.m. You poured the concrete, and tell me a little bit about what you did this morning.
So because of the scenario of the length of the garage and the lack of access for a concrete truck to be able to get all the way to the back, we hired a concrete pumper that just called a pump truck with a 2-inch line. It looks pretty much like a fire hose. The pump truck and the concrete truck then stay out on the street. The hose lays on the ground and goes all the way to the back of the project. The concrete then goes from the concrete truck into the hopper of the pump. The pump cycles the concrete through the hose, and it pushes it all the way to the back, comes out in the back, out of the hose, almost like a turd. And that's how we get the concrete from point A to point B in a situation like this. This particular project took 17 cubic yards of concrete, which included the footings and the slab. And the concrete was 3,000 PSI with fiber mesh in it. We also had wire mesh in the slab and rebars extending into the floor from the footing every 36 inches. So it's pretty much an overkill for this, but that's the way we do it.
So that fiberglass thing, I learned about that fairly recently. I think that's new. People know there's metal and there's concrete, but then you put fiberglass mesh in it now, and it seems like there's always something there to keep the concrete from cracking. Can you tell me a little more about that mesh?
The fiber mesh does help to keep the concrete from cracking. It helps to prevent what's called shrinkage cracking in the concrete. It also does strengthen the concrete to quite a degree, maybe as much as 1,500 PSI. It's not a cure-all and a guarantee that concrete won't crack, because concrete does crack, but it definitely helps and improves the strength and does minimize the shrinkage cracking to a fairly good degree.
Ever since the concrete's been poured, you guys have been working it. You've been working it. In fact, none of the people on site here ever stopped moving. I had to make Joe sit down. He didn't want to. You work the concrete for hours. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, the concrete starts out when it's first poured in the morning. It's cool, not cold, even though we put chemical in it to make it set up faster, and we put hot water in it, but it's in the shade. It starts out not wet, but at about a 5-inch slump. And as the time goes on, it gets troweled. First, the guys start with a bow float, which helps to start leveling out the slab. Once they feel like they can't use the bow float anymore, they put another tool on there called the Fresno. The Fresno helps to flatten the concrete even more and seal it up. And as the concrete gets harder and harder and harder, they're continuously changing tools to the point where the final trowel, which hasn't happened yet, will be with what's called a walking trowel, and that gets done in a rainbow pattern back and forth in each section of the concrete until the concrete's so hard that we can't trowel it anymore. And you're correct, the guys don't ever stop, because if they stop, the concrete won't. And so there's not much time for sitting around or eating lunch or doing interviews or whatever else is going on.
And the work is beautiful. Everything about this is beautiful. So here's the thing. I always say it's really hard to find people who do really good work like this, and your work's amazing. And I'm the pickiest person you've ever met, and the work is beautiful.
We get most of our work from Tough Shed, who builds sheds and garages, not just in Arizona, but all over the country. And I got hooked up with Tough Shed about 22 years ago in 2001. Started doing good work for them. And they continue to pass out my name and number to this day. They haven't managed to get rid of us yet, because we do good work, because we have no option to do it any other way. And I have amazing people that work with me. Juan in the blue shirt and Roque in the yellow shirt. Mike that was here the other day. They make me look better than I probably am, so I don't take all the credit, that's for sure. But it's just in us to do a good job.
I guess that's it, Joe. Thank you so much. Thanks for all the hard work and the effort and the beautiful slab. Now my hard part is to find the rest of the trades that work as good as you.
Well, I'm sure you'll manage to find somebody that'll take care of it, and hopefully you'll be happy with that too. And without you, we don't have a job. So thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Now back to work.